A very good evening. Let's start with the CSET paper 2, much awaited. So this time the questions were good. The passage questions were relatively easier. The maths questions required lengthier calculations, but we'll work on some of the shortcuts for these questions. So let's begin with the very first question for this paper. So the question talks about maintaining an ecosystem to conserve biodiversity would affect the commercial potentials and the livelihood. So that's the basic idea that was being conveyed. Now the question says, which of the following best reflects the critical message which has been conveyed by the author? So here it's important to understand that it's saying that deforestation caused due to commercial activity would lead to harms, and these conflict would be more harmful in the developing nations where people are more dependent on the ecosystem. So basically the idea which is being propounded is that the subsistence for livelihood and degradation while being together exacerbating one another would lead to conflicts and imbalances. So C becomes the right answer. The idea is basically to highlight how using ecosystems for livelihood creates conflict, and that is what is the major idea which is being explained. Now based on the same passage, it says that no country need to depend on the ecosystem to boost national income. Nowhere in the passage it has been talking about the potential of exploitation to boost the national income. The second says the resource-rich countries need to share those resources with the other ones. Again, that is not being said, because the only thing that is being said is how the developing nations are being particularly having this problem as an acute problem. So neither of these two statements appear valid here. So D would be the option. Now the next question talks about renewable energy. Now we have seen that we are talking about green innovation as one of the paths, where we are talking about solar prices, and solar prices have dropped significantly. Now as we move, we would see the benefits of this green investment without much disruption. So this single line is the most important thing of the passage, as I have put it in the bold. So the question says, what is the central idea? So the central idea here is clearly the timing. The timing is the key thing, because it says moving early and gradually gives economies time to adjust. So the main idea of this passage is timing. Now again in this it says that path dependent green initiatives will eventually most likely benefit growth and public finance. So nothing has been talked about public finance in this passage. So this obviously becomes the incorrect option. The second is, yes, of course, this was the path which has been given for solar energy. Now, if the other technologies follow the same path, then what would happen? They possibly can have the same result. So, of course, this could be one of the assumptions that we can consider. So, B only would be the correct option. Now, this is a very, very interesting problem. Here, we have to find a natural number, all the natural numbers below 50. So we will have to do it for all the numbers 1 to 50. Now that would be a lengthier process. So what we can do is, when we are talking about P plus Q plus R, right? None of them can be prime, because if that is the case, we cannot add them and have the number as a distinct natural number, right? So if they are prime, they would have only factors as 1 and n, and therefore they cannot be taken into consideration. So we'll remove all the prime numbers. That's one way of doing it. The other thing is, I take P, I take Q, I take R. So if I consider P as K, Q as 2K and R as 3K. Now understand this carefully. I take any factor. For example, I take number 6. So number 6 factors are 1, 2 and 3. So it clearly matches this 1, 2 and 3. I take another number, let's say 12. I take the factors 2, 4 and 6. Again, these are multiples of K, 2K and 3K. So 2K, 2K and 3K, right? So my idea is, when I add these numbers, I get 12. When I add these numbers, I get 6. So what I am doing is, let me try it for another number 18. So what I am doing is, if you can understand the pattern here, I am taking only multiples of 6. So this condition would satisfy only and only if I am taking multiple of 6. If I am taking other multiples, this condition would not satisfy, and I have to satisfy this condition where P is K, Q is 2K and R is 3K. Okay, so I would have 1, 2, 3, 2, 4, 6. So for 18, I would have 3, 6, 9. So this would again turn out to be 18, and this is K, 2K and 3K formulation. Similarly, my another number would be 24, 30, 40, 42 and 48. So these are all multiples of 6. So how many multiples of 6? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, I missed 36, okay. So 36, 42 and 48, sorry. So all these are multiple of 6. So how many numbers? 8 numbers which are multiple of 6. So I have 8 numbers, that would be the correct answer here. I hope that's clear. Now, here, an interesting question. I have 3 prime numbers P, Q, R. Each of them is less than 20, right? And such that P minus Q is equal to Q minus R. So first of all, I'll find out all possible prime numbers in the sequence of less than 20. So these are 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17 and 19. Okay, now understand, I have to maintain equidistance between the 3 numbers. Then only this condition would satisfy. So what I would do here is, I would have the pairs 3, 5, 7. This is one pair. So this condition would satisfy with this pair. I take another pair which is equidistance. So what would be my pair? My pair would be 3, 11, 19. A difference of 8, a difference of 2 in these. Then I take another pair 5, 11, 17, a difference of 6 being produced in all these pairs. Then my last pair that I can take is 7, 13 and 19. So how many pairs I can opt for? I can opt for only 4 such pairs. So 4 such pairs would be the correct option here. Moving next. How many possible values of P, Q and R are there such that 1 by P plus 1 by Q plus 1 by R is satisfied? So they can repeat. They are not necessarily distinct. That's the main thing. So 1 by 3 plus 1 by 3 plus 1 by 3 is equal to 1. Now you might say 1. Why not 1? 1 is also a natural number. But 1, if I put, it would become, my total would become 3. So that won't apply. So my next numbers would be 1 by 2. 1 by 2, 1 by 4 I cannot take. But 1 by 4 and 1 by 4 I can take. This would become 1, and then I can take 1 by 2 plus 1 by 3 plus 1 by 6. So this would become 1 again. Clear? So how many such numbers? 3 distinct such numbers can be taken into consideration. So 3 distinct possible values of P plus Q plus R can be taken into consideration. The next question is a very interesting question. If you simply try to do it January, December, then November and then October and then September, the sequence goes correct, but for X it should be November, which is not in the choice. So we cannot take that. How would we do it? January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December and then January. So January close, no gap, right? January and December -1. December and October I skip 1, right? I skip a month. I skip no month. That's how you understand. No month. I skip, I just go 1 behind. I skip 1 month. Okay. Then I skip 2 months. Okay. So my next would become, after December, I have October. I skip November. And then I skip 2 months. So my next would become July. Okay. So these two options cannot be there. Now after July, I skip 3. So 1, 2, 3 I skip. So it comes on to March. Okay, so March is here. Then after March, how many I skipped? 3. Now 4 I skip. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I come back onto, sorry, January and January is repeated. Okay, so I just keep 1 January here. That was for explanation. So now I 3 subtracted here. So July, after July I am leaving 3 months. So 1, 2, 3. Then before March I leave 4. So February, January, December and November I come back to October. Now with October I leave 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my next month would be April. So April would be my correct answer. So B would be the right option. I hope that's very clear. Interesting question, not a very simple question that you can see. Now this is a very interesting question. Here, what happens for the team Y, team X, okay? 20 overs, n runs. Clear? Team Y scores 10% less overs. So 10% less overs is 18 overs with n. Now, if the average was 50% higher, so that means this was 3 by 2n, 50% higher, 1 plus 1 by 2 of n, so that's 3 by 2 of n would give me 12. Okay, now if I take this 18y is equal to n and 12y is equal to 3 by 2n, right? Then I have both the equations which have infinite solutions because they would come on the same line, and therefore I have the values which cannot be determined, that is D would be the correct option. Coming on next, now this is a very interesting problem. Now the most interesting aspect of this question is that you have to keep it in the value of 1 plus x k by 100, right? So if what we usually do normally, let's say I assume price is 100, I make it 110, right? That method won't work here because here you have to do it in the values of k itself. So I rule out that method. Now what it becomes in the first case, it is p, then p plus p plus 1 by k by 100. So I can write it as p into 100 plus k by 100. Now this is the increment value with k. Now on this top of this value, I reduce this by k%. That is, I take p common. I take 100 plus k upon 100 minus 100 plus k upon 100 into 100 minus k upon 100 because I am reducing it. Now I won't do it further. I would first simplify this equation. So when I simplify, what does I get? I get p into 100 plus k upon 100. Okay. Then 1 minus 100 minus k by 100. Okay. Now solving this, what do I get? I get p into 100 plus k upon 100 multiplied by, let me write it again. So it would be p into 100 plus k upon 100. P is outside, right? This is the first thing. Then I simplified this. So I would get k by 100. Now what I would do is I would repeat the same sequence again because I have increased and I have decreased. Then again I have to increase the same thing and decrease the same thing. So I can do the square of it. Now, when I do the square of it, this would be equal to q. I simplify this and I get first one as the right option. So you can simply do this now, simplify it, and you will get A as the correct option. I won't solve it further because it's simple calculation then. Now, the next question is, each state in India faces different challenges for climate change, right? So it says that coastal areas have their own problem, desert areas have their own problem, mountain areas have their own problem. So what is the best way for sustainable goal, right? So these various aspects needs to be considered for sustainable goal for future. So here we say India needs to formulate an effective climate change mitigation and adaptation strategies at regional and state level. So D is the correct option. Any other option, do not match it because we are not talking about responsibility of union government. We are not talking about responsibility of each state, and we are not saying that India is diverse to implement the programs, right? Now the next question is, which of the following is a valid assumption? So the first assumption, which says green energy can be linked to integrate with climate change mitigation and adaptation strategies, is a correct option. However, we are not saying that coastal and mountain areas have more severe. We are saying that the impact is different in every corner, and we have also talked about desert areas. It's not just the mountain and the coastal areas, right? So one only would be the correct option here. The next question talks about social inequality, which is one of the most acutely discussed social problems. Now, insecurity is more than poverty, and it's not just an economic problem. We are talking about insecurities due to wealth, health, job, and so on. So government must have mitigation for these insecurities. So insecurity more than poverty is the main economic issue of government policies, and that must be addressed as such. So D would be the right option. We are mainly focusing on inequalities and government policies intended to mitigate those insecurities. The next question is, here, which of the following is a valid assumption? Eradication of poverty is nowhere being discussed. So 2 is straightforwardly wrong. People above the poverty line are also prone to suffer from anxiety and other economic insecurities. That is correct, right? So that is where it says that besides those who are below poverty line, even those who are over the poverty line are subject to the issue. So that's how besides those who are below poverty line, even those who are just over the poverty line are subject to economic insecurities, and that's what is addressed in the first statement. So only one would be the correct option. Coming on next, very interesting problem. Understand this carefully. I take a cube, right? Now if you want to understand this, refer our classes on cubes and dice that we have discussed. So when I'm cutting, understand this carefully, I take this paper, I put 2 cut. My 2 cut makes how many partitions? 3 partitions. Very clear, right? So number of cuts 2, number of partitions 3. Clear? So now how many cuts I have to make in minimum numbers so as to achieve 60 cubes, right? So let's say 3 dimension of the cube. On 1 dimension I have cut plus 1 would be the number of columns. So y plus 1 and z plus 1, and this should be equal to 60. So what could be my numbers? 3, 4 and 5. So 3 into 4 into 5 is equal to 60. So that's the number of cuts. So on the first side I have 3 cuts, on the second side I have 4 cuts, and then on the 5th side I would have 5 cuts. Clear? Means 5 sections, not cuts, right? So how many cuts are there? So cuts would be 2, 3 and 4. Understand this. 2, 3 and 4 would be the number of cuts. Okay, and number of sections, that's how many partitions. So there would be 3 partition, 4 partition and 5 partition, because my cuts is 60. So minimum number of cuts would be 9. That's correct. That's attainable here because it's 3, 4 and 5. Okay, so to achieve that, how many cuts I need to put? I would have to put 9 cuts. You can simply visualize this, right? Now how many pieces would not be painted? So all those pieces which would remain in the center would not be painted. Now how many cuts I am putting? Cut minus 1 would be the reason. So 2 minus 1, 3 minus 1 and 4 minus 1. Okay, I multiply this and I get 6. So there would be 6 pieces which would not be painted. That's one way. The other way is you can simply visualize it. I take one side of it, right? I'm taking 3 cuts. I am taking 4 cuts here, right? So all these sides would go off. I'll have only 2 pieces here from the top. So from this side, from this side, from this side, I will have different numbers of figures. So 2 here, 2 here, 2 here, and this side I would have 5 cuts, right? So 5 cuts, top 2 lines would go, side 2 lines would go. So 3 lines in between. So 2 lines on the top, 3 lines here. So 6 figures in the center. So 6 numbers would be left, right? So both 1 and 2 would be the correct option. Very interesting question. Very interesting. Right now this question, if you try to solve it by any other method, you would be totally puzzled out. The simple method to answer this question is they are Pythagoras triplets. That is a square plus b square is equal to c square. So 7 square plus 24 square is equal to 25 square. 12 square plus 16 square is equal to 20 square, that's 400. So 16 square plus 63 square is equal to 65 square. So my answer would be 65. Simple Pythagoras triplets. Very simple problem. The next question, very interesting. Now, the price of the petrol before the hike was 90. The person was traveling 2,200 kilometers and his mileage was 16 per kilometer. So that's the distance. Now, distance into the price per liter would give me the cost. Now I am equating the cost. My cost should remain same on both sides. My cost has increased from 90 to 99. Okay. Now here, what is the distance traveled? X. Okay. Now this X divided by the same mileage, 16, I would calculate X. Now this X value would be higher. What I would have to do? This X minus 2200 would give me the right answer. So you can simply solve it and have the answer. I haven't solved it, but you can simply solve and find the answer and you will end up with the correct answer. The next question. Now this is again a very interesting problem. You can leave 5 and 6 here, take only 3 and 9. So there is a simple rule that applies that 3a plus 1 condition would be satisfied when 1 would be the remainder and it is being divided by 3. 9b plus 7 condition would be satisfied with when it is divided by 9 and remainder is 7. I tell you a simple example. Let's say I take number 616, right? I divide it by 9, I have a remainder 4. Now I add all these numbers. So 6 plus 1, 1 plus 6. That gives me 13. Now 13 divided by 9 would again leave a remainder 4. Clear? So my idea is whatever the number is, if I add all those numbers and I divide by the same number, I have the same remainder. This applies true with 3 when you have 1 as the remainder, with 9 when you have 7 as the remainder, right? Now, in this case, right? So from the given set of numbers, I can take this as one of the numbers. So I do 1 plus 0 plus 7 plus 8 and I find out. So I get 16. Now on this 16, I have both the rules that apply. So of the given numbers, this would be the smallest number where my rule would be successfully applied, because when I have 16, it would have 9b plus 7 rule which would be applied, and 3 into 5 plus 1 rule which would be applied. So I would have 1 as a remainder with 3 when I am dividing it by 3, and when I am dividing 16 by 3, I would have 1 as remainder. When I am dividing 16 by 9, I would have 7 as the remainder, and the sum of this number would be 16. So I have 1078 as the right answer. Next question, very interesting, right? Understand this carefully. Let me first solve the second part of it. I am only bothered about S and V relation. So S is equal to T less than or equal to U is equal to V. Now if I remove less than, I consider this equal to, then S would be equal to V. So S is always less than V is incorrect. Clear? Now the first one, B is always greater than E. So I take only these letters. So B is greater than C, less than D, greater than E. Now assume that B is 2, C is 1, D is 7 and E is 6. Then B is always greater than E, rule is not satisfied. So again 1 is incorrect. So both these statements are correct. So neither of these statements are correct would be the answer here. The next question, very interesting problem. Now firstly, understand carefully what I am taking. I am taking only odd numbers for multiplication. There are no even numbers that I have taken for multiplication, right? Now, whenever we are multiplying by 5, what would be the last digit? Last digit would be either 5 or 0. Clear? But here, there is no even number. All of them are odd number. So, 0 cannot be a possibility here. So, if 0 is not a possibility, what would be the last number that I would have? Is 5, obviously, because that's the only number which is left. So 5 would be the correct answer. So with this we cover the first set of 20 questions. We'll be covering the next sets in the coming classes. Stay tuned. Have a great day.